Yes, we are. We're live. Welcome to another episode of Above Average Black Men with yours truly, Kid Pender Senior.
Devin Pender, we're here to remind you guys to also like, follow, subscribe, share. But we're here to inspire, empower, and uplift the community.
Yeah, and we're expecting Chris to join us.
At some point.
Yeah, Chris has started up on the cards, finishing up about 10 minutes ago, so he should be here shortly. But we're about to get into this, man. Since it's your topic, do you want to introduce it?
Well, we're really mainly talking about current events, but I wanted specifically to get into this current events.
No more than current events, man.
I'm sure everyone heard about, the situation with Fox News and everything, and Fox One Sports, and allegedly there's a lawsuit going around, allegations of sexual battery and sexual misconduct. When you typically hear about these things, you don't think of ESPN or Fox Sports One. You don't think, especially in these times, you don't think this is happening in these companies. But this came about. This is
more to it than that, because they're saying she slept her way to the top.
Oh, okay, yeah.
There's more to it than that. It gets deep, man, because allegedly, I want to say, is a 42-page lawsuit out there that everybody's talking about. And so what they're saying allegedly is Joy Taylor, who is Jason Taylor's little sister, by the way,
that's like
for the Miami Dolphins.
One of the takeaways.
She was while married, she was in a romantic, allegedly, affair with a CEO, and at the same time, Acho, whatever you say his
Emmanuel
Acho. Yeah, man.
And used to play for the Eagles, by the way.
So but it wasn't memorable because I don't remember. So anyway, but so it was interesting because allegedly, her hairdresser witnessed some of this stuff, who for whatever reason decided now to come out and spill the beans. So I don't know what happened in the relationship, but allegedly, so she was having this triangle, and that's how she got to where she is. And so both of them are married. All three of them are married, I should say, instead of both of them. So it's an interesting triangle, and what makes it even more interesting is the fact that women were just starting to emerge in all these sporting scenes, and they were doing more than just sitting there. They were actually leading shows, taking part, debating, talking sports, and saying different things, and it, for me, it's kind of like, wow, you just kind of set women back, because now, unfortunately, what we do in our society, we assume that's how other people got into these arenas, because they weren't sideline reporters. They just popped up on these shows. At least for the public opinion. I shouldn't say that because I don't know what goes on behind the scenes. But it wasn't like you were seeing them in sports all of a sudden. And then, like back in the day, you saw Pam Oliver, you saw Phyllis George. I'm showing my age, but you saw them you saw them doing grunt work before they got actually inside the studio. And this is different.
Yeah, it's different. It's very interesting. And that actually was going to be one of my questions. Do you think that will set things back for women who are trying to be in that realm? I feel like another interesting point is, and I was watching on YouTube Jason Whitlock, who actually used to work there at Fox Sports.
I heard, but anyway.
Yeah, he was saying how before he had got his show on there, they usually do test runs and different things like that. And allegedly Joy Taylor was one of those test runs, and he didn't like it. He asked, let's bring in someone else. Allegedly, they actually did bring in another woman who's a little closer to his age, who put in the work. And, he felt it went better with her, and they didn't even want to go that route. So that's pretty much how Joy Taylor got to where she, pretty much is right now. Now, when I say that, what does that make you think? They're even passing up, like you said, women that do the groundwork.
Well, I think it's I'll back up. I was taken back because I like the show. I do. I like the show, and I was always intrigued by her because she's a nice looking woman, but she seems knowledgeable about sports. She always held her own. She did, and she kept talking about how she got there with hard work. Which kind of makes it worse because you make people believe like you did all this to get here. In actuality, allegedly, that's not true. You know, so that's the first thing. I don't think it makes me, as an individual, look at women differently. I don't think it sets them back. But there's a lot of people going to start raising eyebrows like, how did she get there? It already was a question. I can't think of her name. The one who her and Stephen A. Smith got into it. I cannot think of her name, man. He called her a sellout and all kind of stuff. It was some questions about how she got to where she was because she came out of nowhere. So I just think for women who try to make it in that field, it makes it challenging for them. Because every woman, everybody in the back of their mind, like, how did she get there? How did she get there? How did she get there? So I think, it's unfair to them because it was already a struggle to get there. Because you're thinking about not too long ago, there weren't women on these shows. And then you have the first ones with groundbreakers. Now almost every show has a female. And I think, then when you look at it and say all these shows have good looking females, they wear the tight clothes, whatever. That doesn't exactly, this right here doesn't exactly help that image. So it's interesting, man. It's interesting. I just think because I was just watching the show, one of Marcus Wiley's shows, and he had a bunch of other guys on there. And I was watching that, man, and it was interesting their take on it. How some of them are like, "Yo, this happens. It's the culture." That this is normal. And that kind of blew me away. Just like, wow, this is normal. And it was funny because he even went to say, that's why he stayed down in the makeup room because people go in there and they get comfortable and they just start talking. And this person is gathering all this information, and you just never know. Like I would love to know why now. What
That's
happened?
A good question.
What happened that she had to come out?
Because it happened like 2020, right?
Yeah, but she came out now, and you just pulled up Skip Bills. We talk about that. And, first of all, I'm not paying anybody no 1.5 million. That's crazy, man. That is. I need to see her picture.
Yeah, that's very random.
Because you would pay a 1 point. Yeah, that number is kind of like you must really thought it was going to make a difference. But it just is interesting how it just came out now. I don't know why. The show is doing well. It's funny because I watched the show and it's kind of awkward now watching the show because if you're married to one of them, how do you interact when you see them together on set?
That's true. It has to be different for some of their significant others, And
if you're somebody else that's on the set with them, like even her first show back, she was with Michael Irvin and Paul Pierce. I'm like, what's going through their heads? Because it came out and shocked everybody. So they dealing with it too. Like what kind of conversation took place? Do you just walk in and just act like nothing happened? Is there an explanation, or do you doubt it? That's just the chemistry there. Then you put the show. She's on the show with James Jones from the Packers and Shady McCoy.
Yeah.
And I forget who the other guy is. He some ex quarterback who's really nobody. Not that I should say that, but he wasn't well known. So what happens to the chemistry there? Because they know. And if you're a guy, man, and you paid your dues, you did what you had to do. You went to interviews, you studied, you got rejected. One guy was saying how when he started years ago, he was a sub. They would call him at the last minute, to sub in for people. So if you're that guy and then you hear this,
that's how a lot of them start out.
Yeah, but that kind of, I don't know. Like I heard somewhere somebody say she was a bartender. So I don't know what she did before this.
Allegedly, a bartender in Miami, allegedly. And also did a show down there, but it wasn't like enough experience to warrant.
No. Well, but see, she's good. She's good. This just kills that whole thing though, because you are good at what you do. It's not like you're terrible. But now this just. I think forever. This is a show that's going to be with her for a long time.
Who's to say if she wouldn't have gotten to that point, if she just didn't put in the work? You know what I mean? Not saying she didn't, but patience.
But it takes patience, and you just I don't know what you were just talking about a scenario where Jason Whitlock, he's questionable too, some of the stuff he says, but
that's why I should take it with a grain of salt.
But I just if you're that guy and you stop playing and you worked hard. You worked extremely hard to get there, man. Or if you that lady, you worked extremely hard to get to, you paid your dues, man. You start out maybe late night on whatever, I don't know. You thinking the sideline, you the sub, so they call you half hour before show, you show up, you got to get ready. I think you got to feel some kind of way. If you somebody paying your dues and you're not making the money she makes, you got to feel some kind of way.
Yeah, it's just a lot going on there, and like you said, I think it is going to be tough for her to bounce back.
Well, my question was, and the topic of the show was, what are you willing to pay for success? What are you willing to pay for? Are you willing to sell out? Are you willing to compromise yourself? Are you willing to sell your soul? That to me, that's the $1 million question around all this. What are you willing to do to be successful? That's in anything.
And that's how you find out a lot about people's character and their motives and different things like that. Especially in this time period or this day and age, a lot of people, even just seeing posts online like, "Oh, I would do this for such a certain amount of money," you realize how, like, what people will do and if you let them get away with it for a certain amount of money.
But this is what makes this different is the fact that if I look at, okay, Joy, you're married. You're married. And beautiful woman.
And she was engaged too, Earl.
So allegedly this happened while, I don't know why she.
But that's why both of those.
But you're married, and you mess around with two guys who are married. Her husband has to be like, man, that has to be like devastating. I mean, one would be enough, and then as a public thing, is two guys. I don't know how. And one of the guys, the older Caucasian gentleman, is an older Caucasian. It's not like some Robert Redford looking kind of guy. So it's just interesting, man. But but I think that's what happens that people don't realize is the other people that it impacts. Our brother got to feel some kind of way, man, because he well known in the sports, so he got to deal with that now. Because her name is always tied to his name, so I'm sure he's getting questions, and I'm sure they probably bombarding him with stuff, man, and and so it creates that. And then for Emmanuel Ocho, whatever his name is, he got a family too. So
his credibility does get questioned a little bit too.
Well, he was already shaky as a sport. Yeah. Some of the stuff he said as a sports now, I was like, how do you get on the show?
But he presents himself, aside from that, he presents himself as like a holier than thou kind of person.
Yeah, but he does, and that's my point. And a lot of stuff he says to me is nonsense. I'll be quite honest, man. I watch him, and this doesn't help his credibility at all. But a lot is because he's always trying to play. I hate using the term the devil's advocate. He's always trying to be the guy. You watch his show, he's questioning this, he's questioning that. And I wonder sometimes, did you really play football? Because of what you're questioning. Like what did he say the last show? We give it the topic. He was about to play the Packers, Jalen Hurts. He has to be the question mark going into the playoffs. Well, all the dude does is win. What are you talking about? His record in the playoff. He's 2 years removed from the Super Bowl. There's not a dozen NFL quarterbacks that can say they were, went to the Super Bowl. So it's just interesting, man. But this whole thing here, again, what happens to the chemistry there? Because now you got to be on set, and do you pull one off? Do you pull them both off? It's a whole thing. And again, families, because now I'm watching this, and every time I watch this show, they're together. I'm a husband or I'm a wife. I'm watching the show. They're together publicly. And what everybody knows, and you're reminded every time they get on the set, what happens when, they film it late at night or something. What's in your head? And it's funny because one of the guys on the set with Marcus Wiley was saying the same thing, that, you travel a lot. So you do build these relationships, but you have to be careful. And he said, one of the things he said that I never thought about, he said, the problem with athletes, you treat it like it's the locker room. But it's not the locker room, it's the business. But you act like you're in a locker room or you're in a bar with your teammates, and you bring that into the workplace. And a lot of people fall, man. You bring it into the workplace, and and I would hate to think that that's the only reason she got the job. But it appears to be that way. And then the whole Skip Bayless thing, this dude talks about everybody.
1.5 million. That's the thing. It's like he talks about a lot of athletes. Sometimes I agree, sometimes I disagree.
Yeah, but this is, if I'm on the show and he says something to me, I'm saying 1.5 million. Skip.
Yeah, 1.5 allegedly.
You're gonna question my credibility. You're gonna question my ethics. You're gonna question my things about me, and this is what you do. And 1.5 million is a, and you said it earlier, it's a specific number. She didn't say a lot of money.
Yeah.
She didn't say a couple million. 1.5 million, man. That's like, and I'm first of all, I'm just trying to figure out what man is paying 1.5 million, to sleep with a hairdresser. I'm trying to figure out, she must have been. I would never. I'm first of all, pay period, but 1.5 million. So it tells me three things. One, Skip got money. Skip got money. If you gonna pay somebody 1.5 million,
and the one thing she said, and this is alleged, by the way, I don't know if this is really true or not. Well, it's in the lawsuit, so I guess it is.
From at least it's alleged. Still alleged.
Yeah. So she was saying that he made that offer, and she said she declined and was like, you're married,
yeah.
And because of her religion, he's like, oh well, you're Muslim, you should be, or your father had many, you should be used to this many partners. She said her dad died, and he just gave her a weird look. But at the same time, it's like, one, why do you feel comfortable to offer that amount of money? And two, why do you feel comfortable to try to discredit or disrespect someone's religion?
Well, I can tell you, power, and that's I think that's the underlying thing in this whole thing. And I'm not alleviating joy, giving her a free pass or giving anybody a free pass, but it comes back to white privilege and white power. Because I can, and because I think money can buy anything. I think money can, if it's a female or somebody of the opposite race, my money and my privilege, it's okay to do this. So I think that's the underlying thing that nobody's talking about, because the fact that it happened, did he say, and I don't know, but did he say, if you do this, I'll put you here? You know what I mean? Did he say that? Did he say, hey, look, if we do this, I can take you places, I can put you things. What was Skip promising? But again, it's power, man. I think power is something that people just don't, we take for granted because we think we're in these modern times, but it still happens. It's like when a boss comes to somebody and say, hey, a single mom, I need you to stay, and she got to get home. I really need you to stay. It still happens. Or bosses still hit on women. I'm sure, it happens every day somewhere. And to listen to these guys on Marcus Wiley show, apparently it's norm. They're like, that happens all the time, man. And it's consensual as far as they know, but it happens.
Now, I do have a question about this one part, just because I want to get your opinion on this. It was also alleged that Miss Taylor had a plan. Like, if she stopped getting the things that she wanted, she was ready to, the phrase "Me Too."
Yeah.
She was ready to do that to the Chris Dixon fella. That's the dude who was the higher up. She was ready to do that to him. Now, when you hear that, what is that? How does that make you feel? Because when I hear that makes me feel like you're trying to weaponize something that was, actually meant to like do good. Me Too. That whole thing was actually meant to.
But why are you surprised? I'm not surprised, man. I mean, how many people have been accused of stuff, man, and it was unfounded, but they were found guilty before it happened.
But they had that plan, and like,
but
you had that in your back pocket. It's like,
this goes back to what I said. What do you want to do to be successful? That's the question.
Mm-hmm.
What are you willing to do to be successful? And some people are willing to do whatever it takes to be successful, and that's the problem. That's the problem that we deal with, man. That there are some people who, that's what they do.
And it just made me think, what is this whole thing actually about? Is it just so you continue to get things you want, or are you actually fighting for actual women's empowerment and women's rights?
But it comes down to the question of what do you want to do to be successful? And some people don't care about that. You care about that, but there are some people who don't. There are some people who, the bottom line is, I want what I want, and I'm going to do whatever it takes to get it. So they say what they, and they think is okay. It's the same thing when you have people who, and I hate to say it, but I go there, who play the race card when it's not the race card.
Mm-hmm.
But they know I'll get somebody to listen to me. They know, if I say this, So I mean, I wish I could say I'm surprised, but I do feel bad for the women who that stuff actually happened to. Who are already afraid to come out and say, hey, this is going on. you know, and now you turn around and you know, you turn it into a card, you know, a card that you're holding on to.
Another question, I guess it kind of brings up another question. When have we began to become so desensitized or moralist, to that respect, where you're willing to pretty much lie because that was something you were complicit, or you were complicit with, allegedly. You will lie, ruin someone's reputation, tarnish the hard work they put in just because you stopped getting the things
Well,
you were previously
I
getting.
don't think it's a question of I don't think it's a question of when did we become that. I don't. I think we are. We just live. It's a question of when do we become that. You know, we just live in a time, man, where you know, and I'm gonna borrow Chris's line. We live in a time where social media has now made that stuff readily accessible.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so if you did it before, nobody knew. You know, because you could squash it in the office or just squash it. You know, now when you do stuff, social media. Hey, people take to social media, man. I mean, everything is sensationalized now. You know, and I think people have learned how to use social media to their advantage, and people have learned how to use things like Me Too and different things of that nature to their advantage. So they do. It's like the bull will cry wolf. You know, the first couple of times he cried, yo, it worked.
I just don't understand how you could justify it though.
Well, you don't. But this goes back to my question. What
Like,
are you going to
imagine
do?
if this never came about and her plan went according to plan, like according to action.
Well, it did go according to action. She got what she wanted. She didn't have to play that card. So it did go according.
At some
It
point
worked.
though, she
It
started
worked.
getting. Let's say she started getting those positions, those roles on TV, and she had to go through with that. Morally, she would have been okay with that. Like,
Well, let me ask you, do you think somebody who did that, allegedly did that, wouldn't be okay with suing somebody for billions of dollars for Me Too? I mean, I don't think the person who does that, if it's true, sleeping with three people at one time, her husband and these other two guys. I don't think he really cares about Devin, about what I look like if I'm going to sue somebody for a couple billions of dollars. But she also knew who was going to go for that, man. Like I found out, I didn't know it. I found out today watching one of these shows, doing research for this, that, you know, the guy Daniels he was around when people above him, who used to be above him, were no longer there, got sued for sexual harassment. So he knew the culture. So he also knew what could happen if it got out. So I think he don't want his wife to know, and he don't want people to know either. So I just think it's one of them things, man, where people who just all about themselves, who will do anything to be successful, it don't matter to them. They're not sitting there thinking, about ethics and morals. I'm gonna get what I want to get, and guess what? If you don't do this, you're gonna pay me. But again, I go back and you know, there's always a risk of stuff getting out, especially when a lot of people like just the hairdresser allegedly says that she was waiting for her for Joy, and she shows up with this guy. So one time it was the guy, Dix, I think his name was who she worked for, and then another time it was Ocho. And she allegedly said to Joy, yo, you got to stop sleeping with both of them, because I guess whatever interactions he had, the hairdresser figured out it was an intimate thing. So I mean, whatever they was doing, it wasn't a secret. It's just a matter of who finds out and how long they keep it. So who knows? I mean, the hairdresser could have said, yo, I don't know if they threatened to fire. I don't know. She came out for a reason though. So I don't know if she asked somebody for some money behind the scenes. They didn't give it to her, but she came out for a reason.
I just hope it was genuine,
Yeah, I mean,
trying to get some resolution.
I mean, I'm back to the point where I just think, and those of you just tuned in, we're talking about Joy Taylor and that whole Skip Bayless, and more importantly, what would you do to be successful? Would you sell out? Would you sell your soul? Would you, would you compromise your ethics? And that's the $1 million question. If we even take them out of the picture and moved it somewhere else, would you do that for a job in corporate America? Somebody's going to pay you 6 figures. They say, that's there's people who do it. Would you be a part of somebody stealing money? and turn the other way. It happens all the time. I mean, I this is my President Trump moment. Dude talking about having the Gulf of America, taking the Gulf of Mexico to the Gulf of America. There's people who both of them will follow him. You know what I mean? Who just turn and look the other way. So it happens in almost every realm of life. It happens. Cops do stuff, and some cops look the other way. It's happening. This is just something that's magnified. This is just something that's out there because of sports and everything that's going on, and the timing of it all. Because you got the football, championship going on right now. You got the NFL, heading into the playoffs. It's a lot of stuff going on right now, and they do sports, so they're going to be out there. So,
yeah, very interesting. Like I said, I hope everything gets resolved. And
I mean. I'm not until you suggest as a topic. I wasn't really following it closely, but I have not heard anybody deny it yet. So that tells me something. I haven't heard anybody trying to file a countersuit, for slander or anything like that. I haven't heard anything from Skip Bayless or Joy Taylor. So I wonder.
It's just very timely because
I wonder.
His show was canceled earlier 2024.
So Skip, did he still have a show?
Yeah, the show on Fox, but. There was like no, how usually they'll give you like a big grand goodbye. It was none of that. So it was very timely.
He was rude, man, and arrogant, and he agitated a lot of people. He agitated a lot of people, rubbed a lot of people the wrong way, man. So I wasn't surprised at that. But that's what makes this more outlandish because that's how he made his living. Degrading people. Basically. Talking bad about people, talking about what's wrong with you. Even he be on there with Shannon Sharp, going back and forth with Shannon. That's how he made his living. So then you just gave ammunition to everybody.
Yeah, now we're at the point.
Yeah.
I mean, like you said, I haven't heard anyone say it's false, but you're getting no sympathy now.
I mean, I feel like, and I'll say it again. I think the cost of success, people don't realize. When you do stuff like that it's a cost.
Mm-hmm.
When you sell your soul, man, when you do things like that, you manipulate the system and it's a cost, man, because typically people who are in it with you have the same, lack of morals, same lack of ethics, and they don't have a problem, turning on you. Hence, she threatened the Me Too thing. Something had to happen between this hairdresser because she just came out of nowhere.
For it to be happening.
She just came out of nowhere.
2021, 2022.
So I don't know if she's writing a book. I don't know. I don't know if she's going to talk to a circuit because I haven't seen a picture of her. I haven't really been digging that deep into it. I've just been, reading and hearing some things. So it's just interesting, man. But again, it's, power. It's power and white privilege because I'm in charge. These are white males, figures who are in charge, and they, I'm the gatekeeper. You can do it that way, but you got to flip a coin. The right person got to see you. You got to get in the right situation, and but I can help you. All it takes is a little bit of compromise.
It's like a fraternity. Some of these
almost like a fraternity is also kind of like, and I know I'm gonna get some flack. It's almost like slavery to a sense because slave masters would pick out the pretty, and they would just have their way. And move them into the house or give them, make life easier for them, so to speak. So I'm not saying it's the same thing forcing them, but for some people, they're not patient. They don't want to run the gauntlet to be successful. They don't want to take the chance of, doing these jobs and never being seen. I got a Willy Wonka golden chocolate ticket here.
Yeah, very interesting. Like I said, I hope everything, works itself out for the better. And if they really did do this, that they get held accountable.
Well, I mean, I don't know. I don't know how it works itself out.
Yeah, it really is.
I just think, it's the timing of it. She was smart. It's not like it was baseball season or something where everybody's watching these shows now because they talk football. You got football players on there.
Yeah.
Everybody's watching these shows now. So the timing was like. I don't know if it was perfect or not, but like I said, you got the college championship, you got the college playoff and championship. So they're talking about that. We got the playoffs starting.
Yeah.
Football had like 14-win teams, man. You got the Lions, you got the Eagles, you got all, these teams playing well, man. About to hit, Barkley's about to break, could have broke the rushing record, man. And everybody's dying to see what's going. It's been a long time since football has had this kind of buzz.
Yeah.
You know, where it was like, Kansas City's just gonna win it, don't worry about it. Now you got Detroit who's playing really well. You know, you got Lamar Jackson who's playing out his mind. You know, you got Josh Allen who's had a great year. Everybody wants to make MVP. You know, again, like I said, you got the Saquon Barkley story. There's so many things that make people want to watch football now. You know, and people who want to watch football watch those shows.
Mm-hmm. Because you want to hear from retired
You do.
football players.
You do.
People that were
You
in
do.
those moments.
And I don't look at certain shows because of certain things. So now I'm looking at that show a little cross-eyed now. I'm like, come on, man. Like, yeah, like you sitting there talking about character integrity, and you don't.
That was the
yeah.
hilarious part. It was like I feel like he's always big on that.
Yeah, and how hard he worked, and
It's like, bro,
Joey Taylor, the hardest working person in showbiz. But so I don't know. And again, I asked the question again. I think everybody's price is a little different. I think some people don't have a price. Some people will do what they need to do, but then there's some people, man, who want the shortcut.
Since you said football, just looking at this article right now, we talk about this a bunch. But Deion Sanders, how we said there's no way he will ever coach in the NFL. Well,
No, I didn't say that.
That's what I was saying, because that's what he said. But he also said recently on Good Morning America, the only way he would consider is to coach his sons.
It would have to be the right situation.
Yeah.
And I don't think that's the only way we consider it, because it's almost impossible that he's going to get to coach both of them.
Do you think a team would do
the
that?
same place. Yeah. I mean, it depends on who the team is. If you're a team like the Raiders, you just spent all this money to build that stadium, and you just can't get it right. Yeah, you get somebody like Deion, because he's the it factor. People are gonna be curious because of what he did, and in the HBCUs, then in Colorado, and he's Deion, so he's going to draw people. I think he'll do well because you got to respect him, because the guy played the game at the highest level.
Yeah.
He's coached, he's won at coaching or playing whatever, and I think he just demands respect. So now how does that translate and to the pro game? Because you got to talk to him a little different. You can't scream at a dude making $84 million.
That's always been his
to pump
point.
him up.
That's always been his point.
Yeah.
It's hard to.
So that's the part that's a little different. I think that's why a lot of college coaches struggle. Because in college, well, not anymore, but back in the day, they weren't making any money, so you could scream at them because they're trying to get there. But now, these guys making bucks, man. So but I think he will succeed. Now, I don't know how you get to coach both your kids, because his son, the quarterback, is probably going to go to Giants if they get the first pick. The Giants are looking at
the Titans. The Titans.
Yeah,
the Titans are number one pick.
But I'm looking at, if you look at, and it was funny because I was telling somebody this earlier. If you look at the NFC East, they all got that kind of quarterback. You got Dak in Dallas. You got Jack Daniels. Not Jack Daniels. What's his name in Washington? Jack Daniels. Davidson and what? And
Daniel, yeah.
Jalen Daniels in Washington. And then you got Hurts and Philly. So you trying to compete, and the NFL is a copycat league. It's a copycat league. So you got a guy who can scramble a little bit, can throw. So I don't know. I think
I feel like the second son would be the one that's more challenging because he's not going to go as high. I mean, in another way, it could be a little.
But the chances of him being drafted by the same team,
yes,
it's not like basketball with LeBron and Bronny.
You can
orchestrate that happen. But NFL, you can't. And I don't think LeBron could do that with two sons. You got two sons, man, and I think if I'm his sons, really, do I really? No, I don't, man. I don't want to play for my dad in the pros, man. I want to make my own name. I do. I want to carve my own way out, man. If you get me there, I do. I'm like you. I've been playing with my dad my whole life.
Now the Raiders, that's an interesting situation because I feel like that is very plausible.
But not just the Raiders. If the Cowboys would suck, we eat them up, man. The Cowboys would eat them up, man.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to.
So I'm just saying, former Cowboy, man. But the chance of him getting his son, the quarterback is between nil and none. I don't think Tennessee's got a shot of snowballs in Hades. Because I can't see him going to Tennessee. You know, I just don't. I think if he comes to NFL, he's going to make a splash. You know, I mean, I don't. You know, and I so I, you know what I mean. I just don't. You know, like the Jets is. You know, they a mess and they about to hire somebody else anyway.
Yeah, no one to go to the Jets.
You know, and same thing with the Bears. I don't know if he wants to go. Then again, he was in Colorado. I was about to say cold weather. You know, but so it's interesting. But I just think somebody like the Raiders who just built the stadium. You know, spent all that money and they trying to get
And
it
they
right.
got Tom Brady over there, you know.
And they trying to get it right. Yeah, I could see. You know, yeah, I could see taking the chance, man. You know, Deion, because what you got to lose?
And now, since we're on the same topic, we spoke a little bit about it earlier on a more of a lighthearted note. How do you feel about the NFL playoffs coming up? Got any predictions? I mean, I know where you're leaning, but
No, I think
is it realistic for them to go to the Super Bowl?
the game that everybody wants to see will be the Eagles and the Lions. I think that's the showdown in NFC that everybody wants to see. On the other side of the coin is, and I don't know how the seating works. On the other side of the coin is, I'm pretty sure everybody would love to see Baltimore and the Chiefs. I mean, Lamar's having a historical year, man, throwing the ball, running the ball. You know, they got King Henry now. You know, Kansas City is not the ones, at least during the regular season, you know, immovable force they once were. You know, so
They were still winning.
yeah, but they were barely winning. You know, and you know the thing is when you get to the playoffs, that margin of error is different. They still the champs. So until they lose, they're the champs. Um, I still think the Eagles, pound for pound, I think they're the best team in the NFL. If you look at their roster, I think they're physical on both sides of the ball. They play solid ball, but that does nothing for you if you don't win. So how they play against the Packers, they should beat the Packers. Packers at home, they should beat the Packers, man. This ain't Brett Favre and Aaron Rodgers and the Packers. They should beat the Packers, man.
Hey, that's a tough game.
See, but it shouldn't be. It can be, but the Eagles need to silence this thing quickly, man. They do. They don't need to be out there messing around. They'll come down to a field goal game. You know, they need to put this thing away, man. A win is a win is a win, though. But I think you know, you got to figure the last 2 weeks they didn't play together. You know, Hurts was out. You know, they rested everybody last week. You want to build up momentum when you go into the playoffs, man. That's not what you'll take them, but that's not the nail biters. You know, and the kicker hasn't exactly been, you know, banging the ball through the goalpost lately. I think he was like what? I think he missed one against. He missed one in every game. I think like the last 5 games.
Who we talking about? I'm sorry.
He's one for something. Eagles. Jake
Jake
Elliott. He's one for something over 50 yards. You know, which used to be his thing. But they do have him kicking off now because the other guy all of a sudden couldn't get the ball inside the 20.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just different, man. So you just, you know, it's about momentum and it's about talent. Those two go together. So to me, like there's teams who won a Super Bowl that weren't the best team in the NFL. They got hot at the right time. When the Eagles beat the Patriots, they weren't the best team in the NFL. They got hot at the right time.
That was a very talented team.
Yeah, but they weren't. Yeah, but you had Foles who was playing lights out, who has only had 2 seasons like that. You know, one here. You know, they got him a big contract elsewhere, and then it's the year of the Super Bowl. He didn't play the whole year. Remember, he came in once to 11-1, 1 month left, so he got hot. You know, so that matters. Who gets hot at the right time, man? And it's not like basketball where it was a series, just one and done.
Mm-hmm.
So you know, you get hot at the right time, man, and they got hot. The Eagles. I'm a diehard Eagle fan, but they weren't pound for pound talent down the best team in football when they won the Super Bowl. You know, this year right here, hey, you know, look at it. They should have beat Kansas City. If they get one stop in the second half of that Super Bowl, they win. Just one stop. They didn't get one stop against Kansas City, and they were toe-to-toe the whole game. They were toe-to-toe that whole second half. The difference was Kansas City stopped them twice in the second half to knot it up, and then after that, they just was exchanging scores. So, you know, you get hot, man, and hey,
yeah,
you get hot, you can win, man.
Definitely will be an interesting one. I know you definitely got the Eagles. Depending on how this works out, always gotta fear the Bucks.
I don't. Nope. I think, and I
Bucks
said
have
this
beat 'em
before.
twice.
Yeah, but the Bucks caught them at the right time both times. They caught them at the end of the season last year where they sucked. They couldn't beat anybody, and they caught them at the beginning of this year where they couldn't stop raining with an umbrella. They were terrible. It's a different team. I think
sometimes a team got your number.
No, I think it's a totally different team now. So I don't fear the Bucks, man. I think the Bucks caught them at the right time both times. They did, and I don't. I think, you know, I don't. I mean, the team that I'm not gonna say that worries me. The team that gives me a little bit of a hiccup will probably be Washington.
Really?
Well, because Jaden Daniels killed him, man. Jaden Daniels killed him, man. But Hurts got hurt. But what's the name played okay, Pickett. But
Kenny Pickett.
But you can't let him keep running up the middle like that. And the fact that they did not adjust for a whole game, how many times they had him third and long, he broke off a long one up the middle. And they just never adjusted. Now, I'm not afraid of Washington, but, when teams in your division, they know you. You kind of play each other all the time, man. It's different. But I'm not. They should meet Detroit for the NFC Championship. They should. And they should beat Detroit because I think they're the more physical team. I think the Eagles can stop Detroit more than Detroit can stop the Eagles.
Detroit has a lot of injuries.
That's what I'm saying on the defensive side of the ball.
Yeah.
But I think the Eagles can stop them more than they can stop the Eagles. So I think the Eagles should win that game.
I think that'd be a good
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if it was Baltimore and Philadelphia in the Super Bowl. But until you beat Kansas City, say what you want to say, but until you beat the champs.
They're saying that's why Kansas City allegedly lost the last game, is to keep the Bengals from making the playoffs.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised.
Smart.
Yeah, because they give them a tough game.
Yeah.
Although Buffalo beat them during the regular season.
Yeah, Buffalo's not going to be an easy out.
Baltimore's a dark horse you got to be careful about.
Their defense is not that great.
Yeah, but their defense plays well enough to keep it close. And Lamar Jackson you just don't. If he gets on a roll, man, it's over, man. Dude, he's running and throwing. Then they got King Henry.
Keep running down.
Flowers may be out for the first game. So that may give Pittsburgh a break because that's their deep threat. He stretches the field for them. But again, it's funny because that's why I was saying. That's why I was saying that you got to be careful. Because when everybody's talking about playing Saquon, because you can get hurt. Flowers hurt his knee, and Montgomery's back. I still think that the Eagles can stop
Montgomery, Jahmyr Gibbs.
But I still think the Eagles can stop them more than Detroit. I don't think the Eagles will shut them out, but I think the Eagles can stop Detroit more than Detroit can stop the Eagles. I do. I think if the Eagles get on the roll, man, and it's if because Hurts has to play well. He can't beat the Hurts at the beginning of the season. He got to beat the Hurts that played against Pittsburgh and that played against Baltimore. Yeah. If he plays well and they get rolling, man, I just don't because they have too many injuries on defense. So they can't match up with Goddard's back. You got Barkley, you got Goddard, you have Smith, and you got AJ. I just don't see them matching up with that. I don't. I think it's hard for anybody. But when you playing second and third stringers, it's going to be even harder. So I just don't. The Eagles stop themselves. Because if I'm those teams, I'm putting 8 guys in the box, and I'm going to make Hurts prove he out of his concussion protocol. That's me. I'm going to come out like Washington did. You're going to prove, I think he can, but I'm going to make you prove it. Because, see, the thing about football, like I told you, all it takes is one bad game.
Yeah, and it's a wrap.
Yeah, man, it takes one bad game. See, it ain't like basketball. You can lose the game and come back. Because there's no series in football, man.
Yeah, it's interesting. Since you said basketball, definitely interesting. What do you think of your Philadelphia Sixers so far?
Well, I think they are what I said they will be. You can't. I like Paul George. You can't have 2 players that consistently miss 20 games a year on the same roster, and that's your big 3. You can't. They both consistently for the last several years have missed at least 20 games a year. You can't do that, especially in the East because the East has gotten so much better. You can't do that, man. And Embiid is hurt again. And then you putting all this on Maxey. People forget. Wait, 3rd year, he's still developing, man.
I said it's like his 4th, 5th year, something like
he's
that.
Gonna get better, but he's still, and then you put him. Now you got to play him 40 minutes a game.
especially with Jared McCain out.
And then you got the two senior citizens that don't help none. You got Lowry and Gorton, and it was funny because I was listening to some other days and I was reading it. They talking about, how bad Lowry really is, but he's getting the minutes. And then you got the young boys, he's not playing. And then it didn't hurt. It didn't help when McCain got hurt.
He was balling.
Yeah, but McCain is the same. It's funny because you found out about McCain the same way they found out about Maxey. You get rid of Simmons. It takes Paul George to get hurt to put him in. So I mean, my question is, how are you evaluating talent?
I just play the young guys at this point.
They have some pretty good young guys, man. There's some pretty good young guys. But I mean, to me, I'm hoping they don't make it. I'm hoping they be in the lottery.
Well, they not that far.
Yeah, I know. They win just enough games, and they'll win just enough games to get into the playoffs. Which I hate.
I was surprised they beat
to get in to be one and done. I don't see them right now to where they're playing. I don't see them beating anybody in the series.
They're 6 games away from 500.
I don't see them.
They're gonna make the playoffs,
but I don't see them beating anybody in the series. Who in the East are they going to beat in the series? Cleveland is crushing everybody. Boston just seems they did beat Boston, but Boston seems to have a number. They have not beat Boston in the last 3 years to get out the East.
Yeah.
I
would try to get to that 5th seed because they could beat Orlando.
But they struggle with Orlando. I mean,
that's the best shot because
But that's my point. So, but even if you beat Orlando, so to me, unless you're making a run at the championship, it don't make sense, man. To me, if you're the Sixers, if you're a young club like Cleveland, yeah, but you're the Sixers, you got to make some veterans. You're trying to win. So to me, you got, I'm not saying tank it, the process, but to me, to get in there to be 1 and done or 2 and done, that's not the goal.
Trade them all.
You got Paul George, you got Joel Embiid, and not just age, but now physically, he hurt 3-4 times a year now. Publicly, he already said he don't want to play. I'm playing every other game.
Paul George seems more interested in doing what we're doing right now instead of actually.
Well, but I like Paul George, but you have to go all the way back to Indiana to get Paul George the beast.
He had one good year with OKC.
But
that's the last time.
But he wasn't the beast, and the Sixers needed him to be the beast, not for a whole game, but they needed him to come out and have spurts, and he ain't even getting them spurts. He got a lot of 1-4s, 2-4, 3-4s, and to me, hey, first of all, I will make Maxey the focal point of the team. I would. Maxey got to be the focal point of the team, man. Second of all, some of those young guys need to play more because they deserve they can play. They prove they can put up some,
I like what's his name? Ricky Council.
Yeah, Ricky Council.
I like it.
And Martin plays well, but you gotta,
he's a role player. He's a good role player.
Yeah, but you gotta give him consistent minutes. And who's the backup they got? Not Drummond, another guy. Drummond guy was playing pretty well.
Oh, the dark skin?
Yeah.
So, he's young.
Yeah, but what's gonna happen is Drummond goes back, he's not gonna play again. And I like Drummond, but Drummond is your backup. Which now he's your starter because Embiid is hurt again. So I just think, if you, I think in terms of, the Sixers, they got to seriously take a look at this thing. I'm not ready to say you can't win with Embiid, but they got work to do.
I don't think you can win with Embiid, guys, if I'm being completely honest.
Well, I see it depends on who's around them, and it depends on, like that's what they miss. I think if Jimmy Butler would have been here, it's a different story. Jimmy Butler's a different story because he was gonna put up with that crap from Embiid. And Embiid is nobody on that floor that stands up to him.
Bring back Jimmy. Bring back Pat Bev.
Well, keep Pat Bev, but Jimmy's available, man. He wants out because that's the running joke that him and Tyreek both want out of Miami. We don't know why everybody want to leave Miami.
Man. Oh, Tyler Hero?
Yeah,
really?
I went out of here.
And that's an interesting topic. It's because I feel like Pat Riley, a great basketball mind, obviously Showtime coach, coached the Knicks, won multiple rings with the Heat. But he's very old school. And not a lot of guys are going to take that, especially if it's not bearing the same fruits as it used to.
Well, I think, and I agree, I think that's what happened with Larry Brown. But I also think it's a little different. I think from what I'm hearing, it's a lot of things being said behind the scenes. And that's why he left here. That's why Butler left here because things they were saying behind the scenes. And I'm what I'm hearing is she doesn't feel valued. But getting older, man. You in your 30s, dude. You ain't 25.
Mid
So,
30s.
so it's not like you got a whole lot of options. You got to go to a team that's trying to win and needs a player or two to get over the hump. It doesn't make sense to you to go to a team that's going to be rebuilding. Because how do you fit in? Like, he's not going to want to come off the bench. He's going to want to play. So that's an issue. So I mean, there's limited teams. That will take him. It's not like like Drew Holiday. Drew Holiday went the ball. He comes off the bench, man. Drew just wins. Every veteran is not going to accept that role. And Jimmy Butler, I don't see Jimmy Butler accepting that role. So I mean, where does he go? I think is he the missing piece for a team like Orlando? And I mean, a missing piece is that team ready to win the next couple of years. Is he the missing piece for a team like San Antonio?
Well, he did come out with a list of teams he wanted to go to.
Yeah, of course they do, man. Yeah. I think professional sports in general have become more selfish and self-centered. And I think what really brought it to light was the whole Saquon Barkley argument, because you heard certain people saying, man, he should go for the record, and people are coming back saying, well, if he goes for the record, he gets hurt, Sirianni's going to be fired. If he goes for the record, he gets hurt, it's going to be, it's going to be harder, for the Eagles to win without him. And then you had certain people say, oh yeah, but then, you get the record will last forever. So there's a lot of people out there, man, that it's about them, man. Get that bag. You hear all the time.
About people's personal brand.
But it's funny because Tyreek Hill, who wants to be traded out, that's the counts he run. He got the bag, but they're not winning. He left an organization that was consistently going to the Super Bowl, deep into the playoffs. So he hasn't, he don't have the same quarterback in there because two kids hurt all the time.
Yeah.
But he got the bag. So it just, how much is the bag worth versus winning?
I feel like his problem was it was cool when you're still making the playoffs, but this is his first year missing the playoffs.
Yeah.
So now he just like.
Hey, but he's never really had a shot at.
But you should have thought about that.
But he's never really had a shot at winning the Super Bowl either. Man, just be for realistic, man. He never had a shot at winning the Super Bowl there. Well, but that's my point. You chasing the bag. And so that's a whole different show. When is enough money? Enough money.
That would be a great topic.
But this goes back to what I said before.
Yeah.
What do you want to do to be successful? Because you can be on a team and be a role player. It's funny because somebody asked me about what happened in high school sports. And I think one of the biggest travesties in high school sports was when players started being allowed to just go to any school. Because what happened was teams would be good because they had 10 people in the school who could play. But then when you started to go anywhere, the 6th, 7th guy, they can go somewhere else and start. So what they stand for?
Gilbert Arenas said something like that too.
But it is. So what am I staying for? It's so it's like when Nicole and them won a state championship. People on the team they left because they wanted to go somewhere else and play because they could. But that team would have been that much better.
Yeah.
And the people who left didn't win anything. So it's so and I think you see that more and more. Like even the college people, there's a kid for Ohio State, a running back. He probably didn't get no burn anyway. He already put his name in the Pro Bowl, so he can't even play in when they play if they make the championship. It's crazy. The coach of Boise State saying he has proof, while other colleges are already offering these players money. To get into the Pro Bowl. He says, yeah, but it's not supposed to.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's not about loyalty, man. It's not about trying to help somebody win. It's about getting paid. And that's now is in college, so that's across the board. You don't hear guys
Some
say
of these kids are getting paid in high school.
But you don't hear a guy say, I want to win a chip anymore. Like Embiid. Embiid, to me, he's satisfied because he won the MVP. He won the MVP. All he won the MVP. And then when he says, look what I've done for this city already. What have you done? It's not like you Allen Iverson when you went out there and you left teeth, blood, sweat, and tears all over the floor.
He made the finals. AI made the finals.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. But it's not. He's not Allen Iverson who you saw go out there and lead his team through all this stuff. You playing with broken ribs and carrying them through. You got a hangnail. But in his mind, look what I've done for you already, which is what? So I'm saying I think that mentality has affected the whole game.
He's probably referring to the mini playoff.
But
But it's like the playoffs is always been
come
a
on,
thing,
man.
you always get there.
You had Game 7 against Toronto, which you should have won, and you played terrible.
I always said their best year was the year that Boston didn't have Kyrie.
No, but they had Toronto down to Game 7, and Leonard hit the fadeaway shot that rolled around the rim. But Embiid was dogging them in the post in that game, and I remember them putting the stats up in the third and fourth quarter. He was when he was in the post, the Sixers had like a +10 margin. When he got outside the post, they had like a -5, and he kept around the perimeter shooting threes. Come on, dude. So I think he just don't tell me what you've done. You made it to a Game 7 of the Eastern Conference. That's nothing.
There's no banners for that.
Yeah, that ain't getting you into the Hall of Fame. So I don't know. I just think it's the game is different now, man, and it goes full circle to what we're talking about success. I think even we talk about Joey Taylor and the stuff they do, and sports today. It's about me, and some people are willing to do whatever it takes for them to be successful.
Mm-hmm.
As long as I get my 1,000 yards, we can be 2-15. As long as I reach my incentives, who cares?
As long as you got all the catches.
You don't hear guys saying now. That's what makes, and I know we got to close. To me, that's what makes a guy like Barkley and Hurts, and that's what makes his Eagle team so special, is because you don't hear to me. I think in those first couple games, and everybody was trying to be, but now and AJ gets out of pocket every once in a while, but for the most part, they all talk about us. Barkley's high-fiving the offensive line, man. He's saying, it's not my record, it's their record. So I think sports as a whole, you don't see that, man.
Yeah. For sure.
You just got beat by 30 and you exchanging jerseys. And you come on, man, you high-fiving. What's that? They just knocked you out the playoffs and y'all out there laughing and joking. Nah, come on, man. I think this sports as a whole has changed because I think it's become more of a me game and not a we game.
Got to put them.
But we covered a whole lot of stuff today, man. And Chris obviously didn't make it, man. But hey, we're back.
Mm-hmm.
We had a 2-week hiatus, man. We're back on track. So make sure you catch us next week.
And like I said, I like that topic for next week. How much money
is enough
money?
Yeah,
I like that topic a lot.
I don't know. I just think it is. And I think back to you making millions of dollars. How much is enough money? When you stop, so like if I was playing, I want to win a chip. I think that's something people remember you for. I would never want to be remembered for how much money I made. Like Kirk Cousins is going to go down for how much money he made, having won nothing. $84 million guaranteed contract, the deal he got in Atlanta. That's going to be his reputation, man. He made money, but that's what he's going to be known for. Not for winning big games, not for showing up when he shows. It's just for getting paid.
But look at Tom Brady, who was someone that took pay cuts. Year after year after year,
and he got 6 rings.
7.
Mm-hmm. So I mean, so that
if you win, the money gonna come regardless.
Yeah, but Tom Brady that's why he took pay cuts because he had enough money. It wasn't how I can always take more money, but I don't need more money. It's not like you playing because you gotta need new pair of shoes. You have the cars, you have the house, you have the family, you have everything you need. Now you're just stacking it up. So I think, at what point, when is money enough money? And I think that's not even just in sports. I think it's in life in general. That when is it enough money, man?
That's why we gotta say that for next week.
All right. So that's our topic for next week, man.
Yeah.
So write it down. Don't forget it.
Bye.
Appreciate you guys. Thank you, Derek, for chiming in, man. We'll see you guys next week. Same time, same channel, man. We got all kind of stuff going on here, man. Watch out. It's supposed to snow. It's too Saturday.